No, nada que vaya a hacer. Leo este, y luego sacar y combina con el
River and registered to the Port of Vancouver. This is because not only does Calgary not have any shipbuilding facilities, but it is considered bad luck to register your ship to the port of a landlocked city. We have 3 flags here on board the Moyie that you may have noticed as you were coming down to the ship today. The one at the very forward end of the ship, the triangular blue and yellow flag, represents Heritage Park and also helps us determine the direction of the wind while we are sailing. The red and white checkered flag on top of the wheelhouse is the house flag of the Canadian Pacific Railroad Company. This is because stern wheelers were often owned and operated by railway companies in areas where it's too expensive and or too difficult to build a railroad. Finally, at the aft end of the ship, we have the red ensign. This was the national flag of the Dominion of Canada, which is what we were called before we became our own country. The original Moyie was named after a then prosperous mining boom town called Moyie, situated in the southeastern Kootenay region of British Columbia. There is also a Lake Moyie and a River Moyie in that area. The origins of the word Moyie are from the French word for wet or damp, which I won't say because I can't speak French. Okay, let's get into some history. The original Moyie was initially intended to sail on the Stikine River in northern British Columbia as part of a planned Canadian Pacific Railway transportation route to the Klondike goldfields in the Yukon. However, by the time the vessel was ready for delivery, the gold rush was practically over, and construction of the stern wheeler was halted and almost abandoned. Quickly, on a quick note, that motorboat that you just saw go by is Rescue Patrol. They're owned and operated by the City of Calgary, and they act kind of like the Coast Guard for the reservoir. Okay, let's continue. Luckily for the Moyie, rich deposits of silver, lead, and zinc ore have been discovered in the interior of the Kootenay region of British Columbia, causing a silver rush. And so the CPR decided to build a railway line from Lethbridge, Alberta, running westward through the Crow's Nest Pass to service this area. This new route originally terminated at the southern end of Kootenay Lake near Preston, and this left a gap of mountainous terrain, as well as a very large lake between Kootenay Landing and the comparatively large city of Nelson, which at the time was a busy mining town and regional rail transport center. Therefore, the SS Moyie was put on Kootenay Lake to connect the CPR's Lakeside Rail Terminal to Nelson. You'll find a map of Kootenay Lake located on the promenade map. With their nearly flat bottoms, wooden hulls, and wooden plank paddles, stern wheelers were lightweight, extremely stable, and easy to construct and repair with readily available lumber. They were ideally suited for river services where the channels were narrow, the water was fast flowing, and the sandbanks constantly shifting their position. They were also ideal to serve many of the river and lakeside communities that did not have proper docks, as having the paddle wheel at the stern makes it possible to simply run the bow of the ship ashore and safely back out. She began sailing on the lake in 1898, and she could steam at a maximum speed of 15 knots, which is about 28 kilometers per hour, and slower than about the same speed you go to school zone here in Alberta. And at her normal service speed, it usually took 4.5 hours to sail between Nelson and Kootenay Landing. In comparison, the Moyie we are currently on sails at around 6 knots, which is about 11 kilometers per hour and slower than most parking lots have their own speed limit. Then, in 1906, her route was taken over by a larger and faster ship, the SS Kuskotuk. You can find a photo of the SS Kuskotuk as well as other stern wheelers that operated on Kootenay Lake in our indoor seating area. Because her route was taken over, she was then relegated to serve communities on the northern end of the lake on the Nelson to Cowslow route. She did a variety of things, including taking passengers, livestock, goods, oars, railway cars. She often towed or took over the routes of other ships if they were in need of repairs. At one point, she was a royal yacht, and in her later years served as a car ferry. This is because in the 1950s, the British Columbia government started building paved roads and highways throughout the interior of the province, allowing good road access to Nelson and beyond, eventually rendering the Moyie and other sternways unnecessary. So in 1957, after 59 years of service, they did, and that was us blowing a kiss, as it was Morse code for the letter X. The hospital up on the hill here is the Rocky View Hospital. It is one of 3 main hospitals here in the city and has the major trauma center. You may have also noticed, if you were on the starboard side, you'll see it on our port side soon here, we passed by a large red metal structure sticking out into the water. This is the Moyie's winter dock, where she is stored in the off-season. Prior to the dock being built, the park used to keep the ship in the winter during the summer, in the water during the winter, but a worker would have needed to come down every single day and chip away ice from the paddles so they would not be damaged. Nowadays, the ship sails into the Atlantic Sea and is lifted